And that's when we were in the Arthur Dent, and that's when we were conducting the experiment. The experiment on the banana.
So you enjoyed it then, did you?
Yeah, it was brilliant fun. Brilliant fun. Food was bloody awful though. I mean, you've got to take your food when you go on trips. That's just what I've learned.
So maybe I need to send you to some more exotic locations then. You and Podpug perhaps.
Yeah, Podpug too.
Yeah, anyway, look, let's get on with the show. So, hi, welcome to today's episode number 8, actually. Wow, yeah, right, okay. So, on today's show, we are going to do a lot of work on building
Can we just introduce Podpug first? Because I don't think those guys have met him and he hasn't met them. So,
oh, yeah, Podpug.
Podpug.
Hi, Podpug.
Meet the guys. Guys, meet Podpug. Podpug came to us in a really special way. Because we were down at Motors by the Moat. And we was showing off all our cars with all the fabulous cars that are down there. I think it was a Spider we took. And then we went back to the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel was called the Great Dane Hotel.
We should have guessed by the name.
Yeah. It was a really nice hotel, actually. It was really good.
When we got to sign in, everybody was walking up to reception. They was just patting this Great Dane on the head. It's a beautiful dog, but it went off standing still.
I mean, literally, like everybody that came in, all the reception staff, people, even guests, they would walk in, they would stroke the dog, and we were just standing there waiting to check in. Didn't even dawn on us. Didn't even for a second dawn on us.
We make props for a living and we got caught out big time by this prop. It wasn't real. It wasn't a real dog. But we loved it so much. We decided really cool. We needed our own Podpug. And because we're out and about, we can't really have a real dog because, you know, can't
because it would have been a choice. Basically, we wouldn't have fit in the van, so it would have either been the Great Dane or Mrs. Breaker. So, mind you, possibilities.
Anyway, moving on. We got Podpug. And Podpug came with us. And Podpug was only a little puppy and we had to introduce him to the whole world of the Comic-Con scene. And there's one person we have to mention who took Podpug when we were down at Sci-Fi by the Sea.
Yes.
Mr. Binden.
Yes.
Mr. Anthony Binden.
Anthony Binden. Yes.
Who actually owns the beautiful Lightning McQueen. And we love going to see his car. And we love doing cons with this guy. And
unfortunately, he introduced Podpug to the world of social posing.
Yeah.
So every single con we went to, Podpug he disappeared off. He was round different exhibits, getting people signing things. He's got more Facebook friends than we have.
Yeah. He's just, he's on it like a bonnet.
Yeah.
So the worst Podpug story we had was when we was at Sci-Fi by the Sea last year. Someone let Podpug have too much ice cream and someone, I think, actually had too much ice cream himself.
Yeah.
And then Podpug broke his leg.
I dropped him. Oh, I know. So anyway, we can overdub that. Music's not. Anyway, so his leg broke, but
we had big vet bills, major vet bills.
£4.75.
Yeah, Araldite. B&Q.
Yeah.
And after
Araldite
a bit of surgery,
is available from other stores.
After a bit of surgery, he was fixed, and now Podpug comes with us to every single con. And to be honest, we hadn't introduced him up to now, but we think we'll put him in the shows a bit more.
And he's an excellent pilot.
And he's a really cool
Highly
pilot.
skilled.
Yeah.
Highly skilled.
Doesn't like bananas, though.
Anyway, so let's get on with the show. Right, so we're going to actually do lots of things. So we're going to have a look at the Tron bike. We're going to have a look at the update on the Tron bike, the batteries that we put in it and all sorts of things like that. So anyway, let's have a quick look at the update on the Tron bike and see how far we've got. So welcome back to the Tron project. So as you can see now, we've taken some of the bodywork off. Now, the real challenge here is going to be to get these batteries into this space. Now, unfortunately, it's one of the negative aspects of electric vehicles in that you've got to carry batteries and they're extremely heavy. So they might not look like very big batteries and very heavy batteries, but they're going to add more than enough weight to this motorcycle. So the trick is going to be now to work out, obviously we've got the electric motor which is mounted in here. The real trick now is going to be to work out whether we mount these batteries high up, because there is actually a bracket already there for them, or whether I need to put them down really, really low to the ground. So that's what basically we're going to work on next. It's dropping the batteries down, so it's going to have a lower centre of gravity. Once that's in, the batteries will be able to sit on that, and that will keep them nice and secure and snug. They won't go anywhere. So, next step now is to finish off welding this, weld it in, and then we'll get the batteries in. So you can see here we've got the batteries all in now. So we've got the battery carrier built, batteries are in. So the first 3 will run the 36 volts. We've decided to go with 36 volts for the main drive, and then this little battery here is going to run the lighting system. They've all been put into a battery tray, like a little unit here that will house them. Centre of gravity on the bike is quite low, so it should be quite neat and tidy. You shouldn't feel the weight too much. There we go. So batteries are in. Next stage is wiring them all up. Now obviously we've got the batteries in. We can't just connect the batteries to the motor because that won't work. I mean, the motor will go round, but there will be no control. So we need an electronic speed control, and that's where this comes in. Now these ones are very, very cheap Chinese made electronic speed controls for electric motorcycles, or electric bikes rather, I should say. When you first look at them, you do have your doubts. They don't weigh anything, and when you open them up, the electronics are interesting. However, I've used them on a couple of projects, and they do actually work, and they work quite well. There is one negative to these. Positive is the price, but one negative is that, as you can see here, they come with lots and lots of plugs and lots of wires. Now, that's fine if they were labelled, and in fact they are labelled. However, they're labelled in Chinese, and there is no manual with them. Now, you can go online and look for information, but it varies massively about what the people are saying that these wires actually do. I've spent a bit of time, I've gone through, I've labelled them myself, and I pretty much know what they do now. This speed controller is going to be connected in here. We're going to put it in a particular place, try to put it somewhere where it's going to be relatively waterproof. Then we will connect everything up and get it working. Really, it's very, very simple actually. This big chunky wire here, this yellow and blue one, and it's a much fatter wire than the others, connects to our motor. It's a fatter wire because there's more current will flow through the wire. So that one connects to our motor. This one here, again, big chunky wires, red and black. Chunky wires because more current flows through them, connects straight to our battery. And then we've got here, I've labelled this one up, this little tiny one here, is just an on and off switch. When the blue and the red one here are connected together, basically they energise the circuit in here, which turns on the electronics within this unit here. This one here, which is 3 wires, that will go to our variable resistor. Now, what that means is if we just connected our battery straight to our motor, the wheels would go round and we'd have no control. It would just go forward at full speed. So we need to vary the power that goes through to the motor, and we do that with a throttle, and we're using a twist grip throttle here with this one. So when you move it, it applies more power. When it's there, it's off, and that simply connects into here, and that just kind of clips into there, and it, as I said, it's a variable resistor. So I mentioned earlier that we're not going to just put voltage straight into here. We're actually going to do something. Now, before I talk about that, choosing the right speed controller, there are lots of different types. There is 12 volt, 24 volt, 36 volt, 48 volt. It will just tell you when you buy it what you want. We're running 36 volts. We've got a 500 watt capacity motor, basically. So what I've actually gone for here is a 36 volt unit with around about a 500 watt capacity. So it all matches up, it'll all work perfectly. Now, little tip, when you take your feed from your batteries, don't just feed it straight into here. The reason you could do, but the reason I don't, is there's no fuse. Now, it seems to make sense that if we apply a fuse, we put a fuse box into the circuit, if something goes wrong, basically, we're going to blow a 20 pence fuse. If something goes wrong and we're feeding straight into the speed controller, then we could damage the speed controller. So I use these little multi-blocks like this. Now, this particular one, I'm going to use it for the 12 volt system. So I'm going to feed 12 volts into these pins here. And then out of here, I'm going to feed to the different circuits. So I'm going to feed to the lighting circuits in the wheels, the headlights, all the other bits and pieces. And they're going to come off this. And this will run 12 volts standard blade style fuses. For the main system, for the main drive system, the 36 volts, I'm going to fit one of these. Now, I fit these to all our vehicles. It's a battery isolator. Now, what that means is your main feed for your battery comes in here, and then this feed comes out and goes into your fuses. what this will do when it is engaged, obviously it engages these two, so these two are connected, your battery is all connected up, but when that's opened and removed, your battery is isolated, which makes it very safe for transport. Fuses. Now, I mentioned earlier about this little fuse box. We're going to use this for the 12 volt. I'm not going to use this though for the 36 volt. Now, we only need one fuse, so fuse from the battery straight through to the isolator, straight through into the speed controller. And we're going to use one of these. Now, they're really simple. They're basically resettable fuses. So your feed from your battery comes in here, and this will go to the speed controller. And you see here, we press that button, this clicks up. So when that is in the up position, the circuit is broken. When it's in the down position, the circuit's connected. So each of these is rated at the different ratings. We're going to calculate the rating we need. We'll probably be using around about a 50 amp version of one of these. Effectively, if the circuit gets, there's more than 50 amps go through, the circuit will trip, it opens the connection, the circuit is broken, it's like a fuse blowing. We can then do that and reset the circuit if we need to. It also acts actually as a very convenient on and off switch, because there's a button here. If we press it, it opens the circuit, and then we can manually close it. We've looked at the electronic speed control, we've looked at the fuses, the isolators. We get asked a lot about the batteries. What batteries do we use? How do you calculate what size batteries you put in a vehicle like this? As I said, we've got around about a 450 watt motor in this one, which we've played around with, so it gives us a little bit of oomph. And we've got we're using SLA batteries. Now, the way you calculate it is, unfortunately, you've got to do a little bit of maths and a little bit of science. There's a little formula. Watts equals volts times amps. What you need to do is you need to calculate
or know your wattage. When you know your wattage, you know the voltage you're going to input from your batteries, so you can then calculate the ampage that you need for the amount of time that you need to run the motor for.
Watts equals volts times amps?
Watts equals volts times amps, yes.
Okay, so how does that work with the Tron bike?
Right, okay, so you think about this in a very, very simple way. Okay, you've got your motor, which is a 400 watt motor.
Yeah, 400 watts.
Yeah, 400 watt motor. That's like the power that is needed to make it move.
Yeah.
We know we're running 36 volt batteries.
36
so it's
volt.
three 12 volt batteries linked together.
Yeah.
What we need to decide now is what size batteries we run. So we could run very, very little batteries.
Right.
And obviously we've got a certain amount of space. We could run small batteries, but they wouldn't run for very long.
Right.
Because they don't provide enough ampage, enough current.
Okay.
Because a big motor draws lots of current.
Current is like the power?
No, power is watts.
Like the power?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
If we had even bigger batteries, we need a bigger motor. Because, of course, it's now moving so much more weight. And then, of course, if we're moving more weight and we've got a bigger motor, we need bigger batteries to move that bigger motor. So, yeah, you're right.
Wow, what a cliffhanger. Bet you're looking forward to the next instalment of that one. Anyway, Mrs. Breaker has just run out, claiming that she now knows everything about motors and batteries and something to do with the vacuum cleaner. While I sit here and worry about that, let's check out our brand new project we've been working on. So welcome to our new project, the Horn of Erebor from the Lord of the Rings. So this is a commission that we've got to produce the Horn of Erebor from the Lord of the Rings. It's in different phases it'll be built. So this is the first phase, which is going to be the construction phase. So at the moment you can see it's got a very, very simple structure. We're covering it with this kind of laminate material. It gives it incredibly strong framework. It will then be covered in material to give it a kind of a horn-like look with all the textures and everything that goes with making it look like the real thing. Phase 2 will be the sound system, because of course you can't have the Horn of Erebor without the sound of the Horn of Erebor. So obviously, as you can see here, it's a weighty object already. Have a little kind of look inside. You can see that we've got a kind of cardboard structure built inside, all very, very crude. But then we're covering it with, in effect, paper mache. But as we've mentioned before in some of our other videos, we don't use just wallpaper paste for the glue. We're using a resin-based glue. So this stuff is, by the time we've got all the different layers on, it will be as strong as fiberglass. Now, as you can see, what I'm doing at the moment is I'm putting on the second coat of paper mache. Now, it's the same glue that we used before, it's slightly diluted slightly differently in that it's not 50-50 this time, 50% water, 50% glue. It's 60% glue and 40% water. Gives it a slightly different, it basically glues quicker, slightly tackier, so things stay on a little bit better. It's just normal kitchen roll, although there are two types of kitchen roll. This particular kitchen roll that I'm using here, when I wet it, you can see it retains its shape, it retains its kind of form. So when I put it on, I can start getting a nice smooth finish. Now there's a different kind of kitchen roll here, this one. If I wet this, you'll see what this one does. It almost turns into a pulp. Now this is great for applying detailing, and we'll do a lot of this detailing later on. So this was, remember, cardboard frame, paper mache over the top, second layer of paper mache. The colour has been added so we can see the second layer going on, but it also starts to embed the colour into the layers of paper mache. So the next layer of paper mache will probably be black, and then gradually it will build up the layers. So when we come to paint it, we don't have to actually apply as much paint because the paper mache has already got pigment in it. Put the pigment into the paper mache, use either a really cheap poster paint or just a powder pigment. Don't use acrylics. There's a compromise here between strength and weight. We don't want to make it too heavy, otherwise the guy that basically commissioned it, when he takes it out and wears it at events, wouldn't be able to actually fit it on his body. So I will now model this, as you can see, and then we can so it actually fits quite comfortably. Now obviously when you blow through here, it's not going to make any sound, so I will demonstrate now. Okay, there's a bit rather strange sound, but it's not going to be very loud. So what we thought we might do is put on here a switch. So when you bring your lips up to the switch and touch the switch, it will trigger the sound, the electronics inside, which will trigger a nice big speaker inside here, which will generate a huge sound coming from the Horn of Erebor. So a massive thank you needs to go out to the chap that commissioned this, because obviously he's given us permission to actually feature the construction of this with all the different stages on our channel, which is going to be really nice for you guys. So you can actually see from step one how we build something up right through to the final product, and then how we add the electronics and all the other bits and pieces. And this is going to be fun, this one. So let me just sum up. You couldn't find a battery, and the motor now doesn't work. Have we got the number for Dyson?
You can fix it. You're really good at fixing stuff. Anyway, moving on, we've had some brilliant comments. They've been absolutely brilliant, and there's way too many of you to mention you all now, but we are going to just highlight Barry, talking about K9.
Yeah, and Barry, we're going to do a special feature next week in episode 9 all about K9, or our K9s, and how they were created.
Yeah, so thanks for that, Barry. And also, Martina, you've been talking about the build videos, and we're going to keep on with our midweek minis, so you'll get loads more of that sort of stuff. Yeah. So thanks for that. And then, of course, Boa Films. Owls. Yeah, always owls. And really, that just brings me to the fact that please share our channel. Share our channel to all your like-minded friends. And if you subscribe and you share, then every time you share, we'll put you in the draw to win this owl 5 times. So make sure you share. Make sure you tag us in the share so we know you have shared.
And we've also had loads of comments about the back wall.
Yeah.
And all the weapons that appear to be sat on the back wall. Now, when we first created the company, we actually created a lot of film weapons. And in the future, we're going to do a feature all about how we created them and how they all came about and all that sort of thing. Which leads us nicely onto what we're going to leave you with today.
Yep.
Now, many years ago, we created one of the largest props that we've actually created here at Podpad. In fact, we created a few of these.
And they're all scattered now amongst space and time.
And they were the Stargates.
Bye.
Bye.
girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done.
Get through the gate, guys! Get through! Get out of here! Hurry out!